Hi, I'm Rashid, a Nile certified teacher trainer. For more than 15 years, I have studied how people learn languages, develop expertise, and succeed in the classroom. My work combines linguistics, educational psychology, communication, and teacher development. If you are serious about becoming a more effective English teacher, you are in the right place. As I always say in my videos, my goal is simple: to help you teach with clarity, confidence, and professional purpose. Now, I will give you the situation. Picture this: you have planned a lesson on polite suggestions, there is a warm up about weekends, there is a short video to introduce the topic. Students match useful phrases such as how about, why don't we? Then they complete a controlled practice activity. Finally, they plan a class trip in a role play task. The room feels very busy. Students are smiling. Your timing is almost perfect. Then your tutor asks one simple question: how do you know they can make polite suggestions now? Suddenly, the lesson feels much less solid. You start panicking because enjoyment is not evidence. Finishing a worksheet is not evidence. Even speaking a lot is not evidence unless the speaking demonstrates the learning outcomes, aims. That is the core idea behind backward design. And go to the previous videos and watch them again if you don't understand. So by the end of this video, you will have a simple 3-question test for planning lessons that actually prove what they teach. So here is the fastest diagnostic question you can ask yourself. At the end of the lesson, what will students actually do? This question is very important. It guides you. What will they do? What will they say? What will they write, choose, repair? What will they understand? So this is how you should write it in the lesson plan. What evidence would convince you that the learning aim has been achieved? If you cannot answer that question clearly, your lesson may be well organized, fantastic, but it is not yet designed. So, backward design is not a complicated planning theory. In language, um, in teaching language, we have 3 things. First, define the learning result. Second, decide what evidence would count as success. Third, design the lesson stages that prepare students or learners to produce that evidence. So assessment here is not something you attach to the end of a lesson. Assessment is the lens that helps you decide what belongs in the lesson in the first place. So remember this rule. And in my videos, I always give you rules to remember because they are important. Activities create motion. Evidence creates direction. Let's make it practical. Imagine your aim is simple, like this. By it's ready. By the end of the lesson, students can make and respond to polite suggestions about weekend plans. If you start with activities, your questions sound familiar. What warmer should I use? What worksheet do I have? What role play looks fun? Video could I show? So backward design asks a complete different question like this: what would successful performance actually look like? Maybe students say, how about going on Saturday? Maybe another student replies, that sounds good, that sounds great, but I have to work. Maybe someone suggests, why don't we go later instead? So students come up with many different sentences, suggestions. They make suggestions. They respond politely, they negotiate, they reach agreement, and all other techniques. But now you have evidence. You know what success sounds like. You know what to listen for, what to collect from students. Only then, when you gather all this data, you build the lesson. You choose the context, you teach the meaning, you clarify the form, you work on pronunciation, you provide controlled practice, create rehearsal uh, opportunities, and finally, you design the task. So the activity first mistake is incredibly common, and it feels responsible. You open the course book, you uh, see a reading task, the text, a vocabulary box, speaking activity, maybe a game, and you think, great, I have a lesson. I have a game. Students can enjoy the lesson. Sometimes you do, but a lesson can be busy, sounds busy, looks busy, and seem not be accountable. Students may complete a gap fill exercise, do the exercise because the answers are obvious. Students may talk in pairs using language they already knew before they listen. Students may enjoy a game because games are enjoyable. All students like games. None of these automatically prove learning. This is why feedback can sometimes feel confusing. You taught all the stages. You managed the class well. Students participated, played, laughed. But the hidden question remains: participated in what learning? Busy is not evidence. Completed is not evidence. Evidence means learners changed in the direction of the aim. Okay, let's compare two approaches. The topic here is used to for past habits. First approach, an activity first lesson might begin with childhood photos. We call it the leading. We start the leading. We start the lesson with the leading. Then a discussion, then a presentation, then sentence transformations, then a gap fill, then free speaking. It might work, but students here might reach the final task and never actually used to, and you fail. Now consider the backward design approach. We start with the evidence. Students will compare a past and present habits using at least three accurate examples of used to and didn't use to. Now every decision becomes sharper. You need a context that highlights change. You need pronunciation work because used to is difficult to say naturally. So we always tackle use, pronunciation, meaning, form. So you need to practice that connects meaning and form. And you need a final task that requires comparison. Same topic, but different planning logic. When I say when I say assessment, don't imagine a formal test. Assessment can be tiny, can be immediate, can be three sentences on mini worksheet, whiteboards. It can be a 20-second recorded conversation. It can be the errors you collect after a task. It can be a role play checklist. It can be an exit ticket. And one day on data course, I prepared exit ticket, and the tutor was happy. So assessment is very simple evidence. What is? That's why tutors keep asking about aims, outcomes, stage order, and feedback. They are not asking for paperwork. They are asking for logic. If you have logic in your lesson plan. So a good assessment doesn't interrupt learning. A good assessment moment reveals learning. So the next trap is writing aims that nobody can actually observe. Like to practice speaking about jobs, to improve reading, to learn travel vocabulary. Three, these examples sound normal, but they are vague. What exactly would you look for? A stronger aim describes observable behavior. Again, a stronger aim describes observable behavior. Students can ask and answer interview questions about work experience. Students can use present perfect questions accurately. Students can respond appropriately. These are some good examples. Now, assessment becomes possible here. You can measure the behavior. You can observe the behavior. You can hear the language. You can evaluate success. Learning is messy. You can see it. Progress is often incomplete. You can see it. But even messy learning needs visible signs. If your aim has no observable behavior, reflection becomes guesswork. So here is 3-question backward planning test. Question 1, what is the exit performance? Not the activity, the performance. What should students actually do? Question 2, what will block that performance? Do they lack vocabulary? Do they lack ideas? Do they lack confidence? Do they struggle with pronunciation? Do they need more grammatical control? Lexical issues? Question 3, what stages remove those blockers. So this is where planning becomes intelligent. A leading is not there because every lesson needs a leading. A leading is there because it removes a learning obstacle. Vocabulary is not there because vocabulary feels safe, useful, safe to teach. Vocabulary is there because learners need it to succeed later. So backward design turns stage order into a chain of support. Once you start thinking this way, stage aims become stronger. A weak stage aim says vocabulary. A strong stage aim says clarity, key, lexis needed for the final discussion. A weak stage aim says controlled practice. A strong stage aim says accuracy before students attempt spontaneous use, spontaneous speaking. Now, every stage has a job. Try this simple test. If I remove this stage, what becomes harder at the end of the lesson? If the answer is nothing, the stage may be decoration only. If the answer is clear, the stage has a purpose. That is the difference between listing activities and engineering learning. We are teachers, but we are engineers as well. Now return to the opening lesson. Your tutor asks, how do you know they can make polite suggestions now? I think now you have a clear idea about the answer. The activity first answer says they completed the role play. The backward design answer sounds different. During the final task, 8 of 10 pairs used at least 2 target suggestion forms. Sounds great. Most students could accept or reject suggestions politely. The main weakness was follow-up questions. So I would recycle the conversation next lesson. That is not only a better answer for feedback, it is a better way of seeing your classroom. So you stop asking, did my activities happen? And start asking, what did my students show me? And that leads to the next challenge. Even when your aim is clear and your evidence is perfect and strong, a lesson can still feel wrong. It can move too quickly. It can drag too long. It can overload. It happened to me on Delta course. It can overload learners, or it can reach the final task before students are ready. That is where lesson shape matters. In the next video, we will explore how to stop planning activities as separate boxes and start planning the learner's experience, the build, the pressure, the release, okay? And the moment where the lesson finally proves itself, because backward design tells you where the lesson should end. Lesson shape tells you how to get there. Sounds amazing, huh? Sounds helpful. Sounds mysterious a little bit. But in the next video, we're gonna clarify everything, so you can teach clearly, confidently, and with purpose. Thank you so much, guys. See you in the next video. Goodbye.